Hello, my friends. Give me one moment to finish getting set up. We need to coordinate with the forces of nature. Let's see. Let's see. All right, almost there. I promise. I promise. Hello. Dear friends. Yeah, today we're doing something a little bit different, I think. Today we've come to some conclusions. We've realized that all of this computer junk is just that. It's junk. I'm done playing around with fancy machines. From now on, I'm all about being in tune with nature, touching grass, if you will. Self-examination, studying myself, and yes. So today we're no longer writing code. We'll instead be reading poetry. I've turned my life on its head. So yeah, let's get started. Let's see. I think today we'll be reading a little bit of William Butler Yeats, which is famous, maybe the most famous Irish poet. Yeah, so I guess with that being said, let's get started. So this first one is The Song of the Happy Shepherd. The woods of Arcadia are dead, and over is their antique joy. Of old the world on dreaming fed, grey truth is now her painted toy. Yet still she turns her restless head, but oh, sick children of the world, of all the many changing things, in dreary dancing past us whirled. To the cracked tune that Kronos sings, words alone are certain good. Where are now the warring kings? Word be mockers by the rood. Where are now the warring kings? An idle word is now their glory. By the stammering schoolboy said, reading some entangled story. The kings of the old time are dead. The wandering earth herself may be. Only a sudden flaming word, in clanging space a moment heard, troubling the endless reverie. Then nowise worship dusty deeds, nor seek, for this is also sooth, to hunger fiercely after truth, lest all thy toiling only breeds new dreams, there is no truth, saving in thine own heart. Seek then no learning from the starry men, who follow with the optic glass the whirling ways of stars that pass. Seek then, for this is also sooth, no word of theirs the cold star bane has cloven and rent their hearts in twain, and dead is all their human truth. Go gather by the humming sea some twisted echo harboring shell, and to its lips thy story tell, and they thy comforters will be, rewording in melodious guile thy fretful words a little while, till they shall singing fade in ruth, and die a pearly brotherhood. For words alone are certain good, sing then, for this is also sooth. I must be gone, there is a grave, where daffodil and lily wave, and I would please the hapless fawn, buried under the sleepy ground, with mirthful songs before the dawn. His shouting days with mirth were crowned, and still I dream he treads the lawn, walking ghostly in the dew, pierced by my glad singing through my songs of old earth's dreamy youth. But ah, she dreams not now, dream thou, for fair are poppies on the brow. Dream, for this is also sooth. Thank you. That was The Song of the Happy Shepherd by William Butler Yeats. Welcome, Sun Albionis and Evil Waveforms. Yes, today we've decided to be done with all of that computer business, and we're no longer writing code, and we are now reading poetry instead. We've adopted a color scheme that is less devilish, less satanic, and we've taken a trip into the gardens for some poetry. That's the schedule for the day. Let us continue. The Sad Shepherd. There was a man whom sorrow named his friend, and he, of his high comrade sorrow dreaming, went walking with slow steps along the gleaming and humming sands where windy surges wend. And he called loudly to the stars to bend from their pale thrones and comfort him, that they among themselves laugh on and sing away. And then the man whom sorrow named his friend cried out, "Dim sea, hear my most piteous story." The sea swept on and cried her old cry still, rolling along in dreams from hill to hill. He fled the persecution of her glory, and in a far-off gentle valley stopping, cried all his story to the dewdrops glistening. But naught they heard, for they are always listening, the dewdrops for the sound of their own dropping. And then the man whom sorrow named his friend sought once again the shore and found a shell, and thought, "I will my heavy story tell, till my own words re-echoing shall send their sadness through a hollow pearly heart, and my own tale again for me shall sing, and my own whispering words be comforting, and lo, my ancient burden may depart." And he sang softly nigh the pearly rim, but the sad dweller by the seaways lone changed all he sang to inarticulate moan, among her wilding whirls forgetting him. Not classical enough, you need to read Catullus in the original Latin. Yes, alas, my education is lacking in this department. We've not studied the classics to such a degree. I don't have any knowledge of Koine Greek or any of these things, but we're catching up now with the help of our friend Son Albionus, I think. How is the musical accompaniment? Is this fine? I think it's sufficiently soft. All right, perfect. All right, I think then we'll continue onward. The next reading will be The Cloak, the Boat, and the Shoes. What do you make so fair and bright? I make the cloak of sorrow. Oh, lovely to see in all men's sight shall be the cloak of sorrow, in all man's sight. What do you build with sails for flight? I build a boat for sorrow. Oh, swift on the seas all day and night saileth the rover sorrow, all day and night. What do you weave with wool so white? I weave the shoes of sorrow. Soundless shall be the footfall light in all men's ears of sorrow, sudden and light. Very nice. These are all we're reading the lyrical poems first. We're kind of going through in order this little collection I've procured. Let's move onward. The next entry is Anasuya and Vijaya. The setting text is a little Indian temple in the Golden Age. Around it a garden, around that the forest. Anasuya, the young priestess, kneeling within the temple. Anasuya. Send peace on all the lands and flickering corn. Oh, may tranquility walk by his elbow. When wandering in the forest, if ye love no other, hear, and may the indolent flocks be plentiful. And if ye love another, may panthers end him. Hear and load our king, with wisdom hour by hour. May we two stand when we are dead, beyond the setting suns, a little from the other shades apart, with mingling hair, and play upon one lute. Vijaya, entering and throwing a lily at her. Hail, hail, my Anasuya. Anasuya, no, be still. I, priestess of this temple, offer up prayers for the land. Vijaya, I will wait here, Amrita. Anasuya, by mighty Brahma's ever-rustling robe, who is Amrita, sower of all sorrows? Another fills your mind. Vijaya, my mother's name. Anasuya sings, coming out of the temple. A sad, sad thought went by me slowly. Sigh, O you little stars. O sigh and shake your blue apparel. The sad, sad thought has gone from me now wholly. Sing, O you little stars. O sing and raise your rapturous carol. To mighty Brahma, he who made you many as the sands, and laid you on the gates of evening with his quiet hands. Sits down on the steps of the temple. Vijaya, I have brought my evening rice. The sun has laid his chin on the grey wood, weary with all his poppies gathered round him. Vijaya, the hour when Kama, full of sleepy laughter, rises and showers abroad his fragrant arrows, piercing the twilight with their murmuring barbs. Anasuya, see how the sacred old flamingos come, painted with shadow all the marble steps. Aged and wise they seek their wonted perches, within the temple devious walking made, to wander by their melancholy minds. Yon tall one eyes my supper, chase him away. Far, far away. I named him after you, he is a famous fisher, hour by hour. He ruffles with his bill the minnowed streams. Ah, there, he snaps my rice, I told you so. Now cuff him off, he's off, a kiss for you. Because you saved my rice, have you no thanks? Vijaya sings. Sing you of her, O first few stars, whom Brahma, touching with his finger, praises for you hold. The van of wandering quiet, ere you be too calm and old. Sing, turning in your cars. Sing until you raise your hands and sigh, and from your car heads peer, with all your whirling hair, and drop many an azure tear. Anasuya, what knows the pilots of the stars of tears? Vijaya, their faces are all worn, and in their eyes flashes the fire of sadness, for they see the icicles that famish all the north, where men lie frozen in the glimmering snow, and in the flaming forest cower the lion and lioness, with all their whimpering cubs, and ever pacing on the verge of things, the phantom beauty in a mist of tears, while we alone have round us woven woods, and feel the softness of each other's hand. Amrita, while Anasuya, going away from him, ah me, you love another, bursting into tears, and may some sudden dreadful ill befall her. Vijaya, I loved another, now I love no other. Among the mouldering of ancient woods you live, and on the village border she, with her old father the blind woodcutter, I saw her standing in her door but now. Anasuya, Vijaya, swear to love her nevermore. Vijaya, I. Anasuya, swear by the parents of the gods, dread oath who dwell on sacred Himalaya, on the far golden peak enormous shapes, who were still old when the great sea was young. On their vast faces mystery and dreams, their hair along the mountains rolled and filled. From year to year by the unnumbered nests of aweless birds and round their stirless feet, the joyous flocks of deer and antelope, who never hear the unforgiving hound. Swear, Vijaya, by the parents of the gods I swear. Anasuya sings. I have forgotten, O new star. Maybe you have not heard of us, you have come forth so newly, you hunter of the fields ajar. Ah, you will know my loved one by his hunter's arrows truly. Shoot on him the shafts of quietness, that he may ever keep a lonely laughter, and may kiss his hands to be in sleep. Farewell, Vijaya, nay, no word, no word. I, priestess of this temple, offer up prayers for the land. Vijaya goes. O Brahma, guard and sleep, the merry lambs and the complacent kine, the flies below the leaves and the young mice in the tree roots, and all the sacred flocks of red flamingos, and my love, Vijaya. And may no restless fae with fidget finger trouble his sleeping, give him dreams of me. Alright, that was quite a long one. Excellent. Let's catch up on the chat, shall we? Sun Albiomus, I haven't actually read any poetry. I want to give it a go on stream one day, but I'm still getting over my high school poetry trauma, lol. Yes, I was of course, I'm a reformed STEM acolyte, right? So I fortunately have no hang-ups, because I basically was able to dodge all such things in my youth. So this is kind of unencumbered. And thank you very much to an unspecified quantity of pie for the gift sub. Thank you. I'm sure that Runoxy will definitely appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. The next one. I think we have this sort of my understanding is that Yeats was sort of had a fascination with the East and with India in particular. So a lot of these are going to be kind of India themed, perhaps in the beginning. For now, the Indian upon God. I passed along the water's edge below the humid trees. My spirit rocked in evening light, the rushes round my knees. My spirit rocked in sleep and sighs, and saw the moorfowl pace, all dripping on a grassy slope, and saw them cease to chase each other round in circles, and heard the eldest speak, who holds the world between his bill, and made us strong or weak, is an undying moorfowl, and he lives beyond the sky. The rains are from his dripping wing, the moonbeams from his eye. I passed a little further on, and heard a lotus talk, who made the world and ruleth it, he hangeth on a stalk. For I am in his image made, and all this tinkling tide is but a sliding drop of rain between his petals wide. A little way within the gloom, a roebuck raised his eyes, brimful of starlight, and he said, the stamper of the skies. He is a gentle roebuck, for how else, I pray, could he conceive a thing so sad and soft, a gentle thing like me? I passed a little further on, and heard a peacock say, who made the grass and made the worms and made my feathers gay. He is a monstrous peacock, and he waveth all the night, his languid tail above us lit with myriad spots of light. I think that India was all the rage back in England. Yeah, I mean, of course, this is good old Irish poetry, but yeah, I think the point stands. I think that's sort of, I don't know, Oriental kind of orientation, right? Like this kind of romanticism and fascination with new places, I guess, places that were being discovered in that by the English and the I don't know, the West, I guess, Europeans, or something. All right, we continue. The next one. The island dreams under the dawn, and great boughs drop tranquility. The peahens dance on a smooth lawn. A parrot sways upon a tree, raging at his own image in the enameled sea. Here we will moor our lonely ship, and wander ever with woven hands, murmuring softly lip to lip, along the grass, along the sands, murmuring how far away are the unquiet lands, how we alone of mortals are, hid under great boughs apart, while our love grows an Indian star, a meteor of the burning heart, one with the tide that gleams, the wings that gleam and dart. The heavy boughs, the burnished dove, that moans and sighs 100 days, how when we die our shades will rove, when eve has hushed the feathered ways, with vapory footsole by the water's drowsy blaze. I will, Gunpie says, can you speak a little slower? Let's, we can slow it down, I think. Thank you for the feedback. Have you watched any of the Sherlock stuff? It's like, I think I've read the original... I've read some number, probably the majority of the original, like, Conan Doyle stories. Haven't kind of, not a tremendous Sherlock Holmes fan beyond that. But yeah, I can see it. Okay. The next one. The falling of the leaves. Autumn is over the long leaves that love us, and over the mice in the barley sheaves. Yellow the leaves of the rowan above us, and yellow the wet wild strawberry leaves. The hour of the waning of love has beset us, and weary and worn are our sad souls now. Let us part ere the season of passion forget us, with a kiss and a tear on thy drooping brow. Yes, Olga, welcome. Today we've given up the computer, and we've moved on to greater things like poetry. So we'll be doing some poetry reading today in the gardens together. All right, moving forward. The next one, ephemera. Your eyes that once were never weary of mine are bowed in sorrow under pendulous lids, because our love is waning. And then she, although our love is waning, let us stand by the lone border of the lake once more, together in that hour of gentleness, when the poor tired child, passion, falls asleep. How far away the stars seem, and how far is our first kiss, and ah, how old my heart. Pensive they paced along the faded leaves, while slowly he whose hand held hers replied, passion has often worn our wandering hearts. The woods were round them, and the yellow leaves fell like faint meteors in the gloom, and once a rabbit old and lame limped along the path. Autumn was over him, and now they stood on the lone border of the lake once more. Turning, he saw that she had thrust dead leaves, gathered in silence, dewy as her eyes, in bosom and hair. Ah, do not mourn, he said, that we are tired, for other loves await us. Hate on and love through unrepining hours. Before us lies eternity, our souls are love, and a continual farewell. Alright. Okay, let's I think we're going to have to take a brief break in order to dive back into the cruel realm of the computer, because it looks like our redeems are not working. Something is a little messed up. Welcome, Willip. Welcome. I'm thinking there's some kind of Some kind of shenanigan happening. What is this? What is going on? Unfortunately, we have to dig into it. Yeah, this is a very sophisticated abacus. Let me check my other abacus and see what's going on over there. Where are we going? Oh. My connection to Twitch went down. Oh dear. Let's restart that. Maybe this will fix it. So how's everybody doing? Anyone doing anything exciting today? Thank you for the follow, Willip. That redeem is the redeem should be working again. It didn't catch your VIP redeem, but it did catch the spinning one. So let's go back. We can these are all cheap, I guess, so I don't worry too much about wasting people's points. Hello, hello. Everything should work now, so we can have fun to your heart's content. Let's walk to the groceries and bought stuff and walk back. That's very exciting. Very, very exciting. Yeah, we just gotten disconnected from Twitch, I think. I don't automatically reconnect. Let's get away from that computer nonsense. And get back to what really matters, which is poetry. So where were we? Where were we indeed? We have a long one now. Let's get ready. I didn't walk to groceries and I have no groceries. Well, alas. Alas, alas. I hope you find something to eat. Maybe that's the I don't know. Isn't that kind of the philosopher lifestyle? Kind of begging to eat? I don't know. Something like this. Begging for patronage. Well, let's see. The madness of King Gol. I sat on cushioned otter skin. My word was law from Ith to Amain, and shook at Invar Amargin, the hearts of the world-troubled seamen, and drove tumult and war away, from girl and boy and man and beast. The fields grew fatter day by day, the wild fowl of the air increased. And every ancient olive said, while he bent down his fading head, he drives away the northern cold. They will not hush, the leaves aflutter round me, the beech leaves old. I sat and mused and drank sweet wine. A herdsman came from inland valleys. Crying, the pirates drove his swine to fill their dark-beaked hollow galleys. I called my battle-breaking men and my loud brazen battle cars from rolling vale and rivery glen, and under the blinking of the stars, fell on the pirates by the deep and hurled them in the gulf of sleep. These hands won many a torque of gold. They will not hush, the leaves aflutter round me, the beech leaves old. Sippy time. But slowly as I shouting slew, and trampled in the bubbling mire, in my most secret spirit grew a whirling and a wandering fire. I stood, keen stars above me shone, around me shone keen eyes of men. I laughed aloud and hurried on, by rocky shore and rushy fen. I laughed because birds fluttered by, and starlight gleamed and clouds flew high, and rushes waved and waters rolled. They will not hush, the leaves aflutter round me, the beech leaves old. And now I wander in the woods, when summer gluts the golden bees, or in autumnal solitudes arise the leopard-colored trees. Or when the wintry stands, or when along the wintry strands the cormorants shiver on their rocks, I wander on and wave my hands, and sing and shake my heavy locks. The grey wolf knows me by one ear, I lead along the woodland deer. The hares run by me growing bold, they will not hush, the leaves aflutter round me, the beech leaves old. I came upon a little town that slumbered in the harvest moon, and passed a tiptoe up and down, murmuring to a fitful tune. How I have followed night and day, a tramping of tremendous feet, and saw where this old timpan lay, deserted on a doorway seat, and bore it to the woods with me, of some inhuman misery, our married voices wildly trolled. They will not hush, the leaves aflutter round me, the beech leaves old. Ah, yes, thank you for the, thank you for pointing that out. We need to scroll to the bottom. Thank you very much. We continue. I sang how, when day's toil is done, Orchil shakes out her long dark hair, that hides away the dying sun, and sheds faint odors through the air. When my hand passed from wire to wire, it quenched with sound like falling dew, the whirling and the wandering fire, but lift a mournful oolaloo. For the kind wires are torn and still, and I must wander wood and hill. Though through summer's heat and winter's cold, they will not hush, the leaves aflutter around me, the beech leaves old. Wow. That one's intense. Alright. Continuing onward. Oh, welcome, welcome, Larcy fan. What window manager are you using, or is this just an overlay? Well, we can delve back into the world of the computer briefly, because one can't, I guess in the theme of this romantic poetry, one can't forget old loves so easily. So we'll do the screen fetch. This is all in Emacs. This is, we do the screen fetch. This is the Emacs X window manager. These are all, I'm just streaming my whole screen, and this is Emacs filling it. So all of my X windows, like I can pop up Firefox here. I can say, let's search hello world in DuckDuckGo. It'll just be an Emacs buffer. Thank you. Yeah, this is a special palette for today. We normally do something a little different, but today we've decided that writing code is very passé. So instead, we're reading poetry. That is we've ventured into the garden, and we've decided to do some light reading, I guess. And yes. Senalbionis says, I like how the channel points are so small. So many streamers have like millions of channel points. Yeah, I can see that. I had them higher originally, but I wanted people to actually use them, right? And of course, a lot of people are just going to be coming by and dropping a follow and getting like 300, and I want them to be able to do some stuff. Beautiful, lovely pastime, poetry hour. Indeed, indeed. Yes, we've decided to touch some grass. We're through with all of this computer nonsense. Evil Waveform says ultra wide monitor. Well, I don't think so. It says it's this wide because I think I have two. I have like a laptop monitor and this external monitor that I'm streaming. This should be just like a normal 1080p monitor, and then like another monitor that's like, I think 1600 by 900 or something. Does that make sense? This is 1920 plus 1600. That makes sense, and they're arranged horizontally, something like that. Well then. Definitely not. The monitor's native resolution is actually 1440p, but we're having to. I couldn't manage to stream that with this machine, so we have it changed a little bit. All right, up next, the Stolen Child. Where dips the rocky highland of Sleuthwood in the lake, there lies a leafy island where flapping herons wake. The drowsy water rats, that there we've hid our fairy vats, full of berries and of reddest stolen cherries. Oh, come away, O human child, to the waters in the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wave of moonlight glosses the dim grey sands with light, far off by furthest rosses, we foot it all the night, weaving olden dances, mingling hands and mingling glances, till the moon has taken flight. To and fro we leap, and chase the frothy bubbles, while the world is full of troubles, and is anxious in its sleep. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wandering water gushes, from the hills above Glen Car, in pools among the rushes, that scarce could bathe a star, we seek for slumbering trout, and whispering in their ears, give them unquiet dreams, leaning softly out, from ferns that drop their tears over the young streams. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Away with us he's going, the solemn-eyed. He'll hear no more the lowing of the calves on the warm hillside, or the kettle on the hob sing peace into his breast, or see the brown mice bob round and round the oatmeal chest. For he comes, the human child, to the waters in the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, from a world more full of weeping than he can understand. Wow. I think we're really hitting on. I think Yeats sort of has this. He has a from what little I know of Yeats, I don't know. He's I think nominally one of my favorite poets, but I just haven't read very much poetry in general. I think he has like a real fascination with kind of you know, the sort of fairy, you know, this sort of like classical kind of thing, changelings and this sort of thing. So interesting. These are very evocative. I'm enjoying this. Sun Albionis says, I'm a bad subject for that, however. I never use channel points lol, unless it's like karaoke redeem or changing the streamer's hair color or something. Yeah, I can see that, right? I mean, there's also all sorts of different types of people. I'm kind of a I'm inspired a lot by probably my biggest influences into streaming are there's a VTuber Shindigs who should I shout out Shindigs? People should know Shindigs if we're doing this. I hope this doesn't like spam him with a notification or something. Shindigs is really cool. Yeah, I don't understand the common redeems like hydrate. I think there are kind of there's like a default set of redeems, right? That a lot of people just like tend to use. I don't really get it either. I like Shindigs. Found out about him when he made the gun model. Yeah, the gun model is very cool. He just does a lot of very like innovative stuff, and I want to like, I don't know. I think like especially streaming with an avatar like this could be extremely like, you can do anything, right? It's so cool, and I think we're like I know I hear some people say like, oh yeah, VTubing is like, that's we're done with that, right? Like you had to get in early. Like everyone's already established. Like it's I think we're in like the first 1% of VTubing, right? We have barely scratched the surface of what is possible. So let's move forward with that spirit, right? Like it's not over. It's only just begun. Sun Albionis says, I don't think they're redeems, but Uwu to OO has been doing some real crazy chat interaction stuff lately. Yeah, Uwu is also great. Uwu, I am such a huge Uwu to OO fan. I see you in his chat often, Sun Albionis. But yeah, the arm thing was super cool, and the horn. It's that kind of like physical integration is very cool. Big fan for sure. Don't listen to the voice inside your head that says, it's too late, I should have started 2 years ago. Excuse me. I quit being a YouTuber back in 2009 because I thought it was too saturated and wish I had started in 2007. Yeah, I mean, exactly, that's all it is, right? I think people should just pursue like what they want to do, right? Like, it's never over, right? There's always room for more. I think, yeah, it has only just begun. And that's the spirit to have. You can always, all you have to do is just do what you want to do and build something that's your own and that's original. And I don't know, I'm babbling at this point. Let's get back to some poetry. Let's get back to the core message of the Colonq stream. There's always a market for smaller communities until they get absorbed by bigger ones. Yes, for sure. Also, focusing on trying to make it big is a bad idea. It never works. You just got to, yes, exactly, right? I have no idea how many people are listening to our poetry session right now, and I don't particularly care to, right? I'm going to do exactly what I want to do, and hope that thing is interesting and exciting, and I'd encourage everyone to do the same. Alrighty. Next up is To an Isle in the Water. Shy one, shy one, shy one of my heart. She moves in the firelight, pensively apart. She carries in the dishes and lays them in a row. To an isle in the water, with her would I go. She carries in the candles and lights the curtained room. Shy in the doorway and shy in the gloom. And shy as a rabbit, helpful and shy. To an isle in the water, with her I would fly. Even Obama is watching. Yes, hello, Mr. President. Greetings. I hope you enjoy some Yeats. All right, next up, we continue. I'm gonna do this for at least... I can imagine this getting... I'm gonna do this until my voice gets tired, I think. And then maybe we'll do something else. But you'll have to wait and see. Alright, down by the Sally Gardens. Down by the Sally Gardens, my love and I did meet. She passed the Sally Gardens with little snow-white feet. Hey, yo. She bid me take love easy, as she leaves grow on the tree. But I, being young and foolish, with her would not agree. In a field by the river my love and I did stand, and on my leaning shoulder she laid her snow-white hand. She bid me take life easy, as the grass grows on the weirs, but I was young and foolish, and now am full of tears. Oh, jeez. I can relate with not taking life easy and being young and foolish and full of tears, for sure. Onward. The meditation of the old fisherman. You waves, though you dance by my feet like children at play, though you glow and you glance, though you purr and you dart, in the Junes that were warmer than these are, the waves were more gay, when I was a boy with never a crack in my heart. The herring are not in the tides as they were of old. My sorrow for many a creek gave the creel in the cart, that carried the take to Sligo town to be sold, when I was a boy with never a crack in my heart. And ah, you proud maiden, you are not so fair when his oar is heard on the water as they were, the proud and apart, who paced in the eve by the nets on the pebbly shore, when I was a boy with never a crack in my heart. Bloom did a poetry stream once like a year ago. The way he did it was he broke down every line and explained what it means, which I think is really cool, but like I don't think I'm high IQ enough to pull that off well. Yeah, I think that would be very fun to do, but I think it would require a lot of preparation. That I mean, my transition to being a poetry streamer is a recent one. My conversion. I'm born again in the light of Sophia or something. Alas, we had no time to prepare. When you said Bloom, I think do you mean Professor Bloom, the streamer? I thought you meant, when I read it first, I was like, does he mean like there's like the famous like literary critic Harold Bloom at Yale. Funny. All right. Next up, the Ballad of Father O'Hart. Good Father John O'Hart in penal days rode out to a Shoneen who had free lands and his own snipe and trout. In trust took he John's lands, Slevens were all his race, and he gave them as dowers to his daughters, and they married beyond their place. But Father John went up, and Father John went down, and he wore small holes in his shoes, and he wore large holes in his gown. All loved him, only the Shoneen, whom the devils have by the hair, from the wives and the cats and the children, to the birds in the white of the air. The birds, for he opened their cages, as he went up and down, and he said with a smile, have peace now, and he went his way with a frown. But if when anyone died, came keeners hoarser than rooks, he bade them give over their keening, for he was a man of books. And these were the works of John, when weeping score by score, people came into Cooloney, for he died at 94. There was no human keening, the birds from Nakanira, and the world round Nakanashi came keening in that day. The young birds and old birds came flying heavy and sad, keening in from Tirag, keening in from Ballinafad, keening in from Inishmare, nor stayed for bite or sup. This way all were reproved who dig old customs up. These are these Irish place names are somewhat brutal, but we must persevere in the name of poetry. One moment. I'm being. Never mind. Indeed. There we go. Let us continue. The Ballad of Mole McGee. Come round me, little childer. There, don't fling stones at me, because I mutter as I go, but pity Mole McGee. My man was a poor fisher, with shorelines in the say. My work was salt and herrings, the whole of the long day. And sometimes from the salt and shed, I scarce could drag my feet under the blessed moonlight along the pebbly street. I'd always been but weakly, and my baby was just born. A neighbor minded her by day, I minded her till morn. I lay upon my baby, ye little childer dear. I looked on my cold baby when the morn grew frosty and clear. A weary woman sleeps so hard, my man grew red and pale, and gave me money and bade me go to my own place, Kinsale. He drove me out and shut the door, and gave his curse to me. I went away in silence, no neighbor could I see. The windows and the doors were shut, one star shone faint and green. The little straws were turning round across the bare boreen. I went away in silence, beyond old Martin's byre. I saw a kindly neighbor blow in her morning fire. She drew from me my story, my money's all used up, and still with pitying, scorning eye, she gives me bite and sup. She says my man will surely come and fetch me home again, but always as I'm moving around, without doors or within, pilin' the wood or pilin' the turf, or goin' to the well, I'm thinking of my baby, and keen into myself. And sometimes I am sure she knows, when opening wide his door, God lights the stars his candles, and looks upon the poor. But so now, ye little childer, you won't fling stones at me, but gather with your shining locks, and pity Mole McGee. That one's pretty dark. Yeah, sometimes, well, it's, I mean, this is always the issue, right? With reading things from cultures you're unfamiliar with, right? Getting a grasp of the naming conventions and pronunciations can be tricky. But we can only do our best. That is, in fact, all we can do. Let me get a little drink. I'm learning that poetry is much thirstier work than programming. Who would know? The Ballad of the Fox Hunter. Lay me in a cushioned chair, carry me ye four, with cushions here and cushions there, to see the world once more. To stable and to kennel go, bring what is there to bring, lead my lollard to and fro, or gently in a ring. Put the chair upon the grass, bring Rhodey and his hounds, that I may contented pass from these earthly bounds. Excuse me. His eyelids droop, his head falls low, his old eyes cloud with dreams. The sun upon all things that grow falls in sleepy streams. Brown Lollard treads upon the lawn, and to the armchair goes, and now the old man's dreams are gone, he smooths the long brown nose. And now moves many a pleasant tongue upon his wasted hands, for leading aged hounds and young, the huntsman near him stands. Huntsman Rhodey, blow the horn, make the hills reply, the huntsman loosens on the morn a gay wandering cry. Fire is in the old man's eyes, his fingers move and sway, and when the wandering music dies, they hear him feebly say, Huntsman Rhodey, blow the horn, make the hills reply. I cannot blow upon my horn, I can but weep and sigh. Servants round his cushioned place are with new sorrow wrung, hounds are gazing on his face, aged hounds and young. One blind hound only lies apart, on the sun-smitten grass, he holds deep commune with his heart, the moments pass and pass. The blind hound with a mournful din lifts slow his wintry head, the servants bear the body in, the hounds wail for the dead. I don't know about poetry, but I've also found out recently that reading aloud in general is very thirsty work. I go through like 4 bottles of water in a 2-hour stream. I don't really know why though. I can rant aloud to friends on Discord for hours on end without needing to hydrate. Yeah, I think I'm noticing that like the more I focus on like my enunciation versus my usual like heavily like kind of slurred together nonsense speech that I do on these streams, like I normally talk like, oh, what the fuck is going on here, like that, versus actually like saying words in English. I'm just like, I don't know, it's a very different sensation. Very interesting. I cannot even imagine doing one of your streams, Son Albionis. Those are pretty intense reading for a long time, and it's yeah, focusing on being clear and eloquent. I see it. Is this next one? Oh no, we're in a different section now. These are from 1893. I think this is a collection, The Rose. Let's see. Might need to get some more water. Maybe we'll need to get a little bit more water. But we'll see. Moving onward. To the rose upon the root of time. Red rose, proud rose, sad rose of all my days, come near me while I sing the ancient ways. Cuchulainn battling with the bitter tide, the druid, grey, wood-nurtured, quiet-eyed, who cast round Fergus dreams and rune untold, and thine own sadness whereof stars grown old. In dancing silver-sandaled on the sea, sing in their high and lonely melody, come near, that no more blinded by man's fate, I find under the boughs of love and hate, In all poor foolish things that live a day, eternal beauty wandering on her way. Come near, come near, come near, ah, leave me still, a little space for the rose breath to fill, lest I no more hear common things that crave, the weak worm hiding down in its small cave, the field mouse running by me in the grass, and heavy mortal hopes that toil and pass, but seek alone to hear the strange things said by God to the bright hearts of those long dead, and learn to chaunt a tongue men do not know. Come near, I would, before my time to go, sing of old ire and the ancient ways, red rose, proud rose, sad rose of all my days. I need to read the next book of Plato sometime soon, but I've been putting it off because I know it's going to be like 3 hours long. Yeah, that's intimidating. I wonder what I've thought a little bit like unironically about doing reading streams, right? And the thing I've always come upon, it's the same thing with my usual programming streams. Like, I don't know how to effectively do a stream that's entertaining for first-time watchers or people who are missing the context of kind of the previous episodes, if you will, while still like getting something done in the sense of like developing something or like progressing through the book or you know. And maybe you just don't need to. Maybe you just need to focus on making sort of the trappings of the content entertaining enough that people are willing to watch. But I don't know. It's interesting. I received some critique yesterday that in my reading streams there aren't enough breaks opportunities for viewers to chat. Yeah, I can see that being a problem for like something longer for sure. This poetry format is sort of nice because these are mostly like a page long. So yeah, I think if you're doing a reading stream one day, I think that's something to consider. Yeah, I would almost want to like the thing that, like you said, Bloom was doing. Like might be interesting to like. I've thought about doing. I really want to do like a detailed breakdown of some novel with like analysis and like do a blog post series about it. That just seems like a very fun thing to me. So maybe something like that, like spending a stream going through just like one chapter of something, and then but like really analyzing like each paragraph and breaking every paragraph to give opportunity to discuss. It wouldn't be very fluid, right? But taking a break to chat and explain the book would require you to understand what you've just read. Yes, I mean that is the eternal problem, right? What are we? I don't want to understand things. I just want to look at the letters. All right, onward. Fergus and the Druid. Fergus, this whole day have I followed in the rocks, and you have changed and flowed from shape to shape. First as a raven on whose ancient wings scarcely a feather lingered, then you seemed a weasel moving on from stone to stone, and now at last you are a human shape, a thin grey man half lost in gathering night. Druid, what would you, king of the proud red branch kings? Fergus, this would I say, most wise of living souls. Young subtle Conchubar sat close by me, when I gave judgment and his words were wise. And what to me was burden without end, to him seemed easy, so I laid the crown upon his head to cast away my sorrow. Druid, what would you, king of the proud red branch kings? Fergus, a king and proud, and that is my despair. I feast amid my people on the hill, and pace the woods, and drive my chariot wheels in the white border of the murmuring sea, and still I feel the crown upon my head. Druid, what would you, Fergus? Fergus, be no more a king, but learn the dreaming wisdom that is yours. Druid, look on my thin grey hair and hollow cheeks, and on these hands that may not lift the sword, this body trembling like a wind-blown reed. No women's loved me, no man sought my help. Fergus, a king is but a foolish laborer who wastes his blood to be another's dream. Druid, take, if you must, this little bag of dreams, unloose the cord, and they will wrap you round. Fergus, I see my life go drifting like a river. From change to change I have been many things. A green drop in the surge, a gleam of light upon a sword, a fir tree on a hill, an old slave grinding on a heavy quern, a king sitting upon a chair of gold, and all these things were wonderful and great. But now I have grown nothing, knowing all. Ah, Druid, Druid, how great webs of sorrow lay hidden in the small slate-colored thing. Very nice. I confess that last Plato book I read, I didn't get like 60% of it. Haha. Yeah, I think a lot of these things, kind of, like for more detailed analysis, you'd want to prepare beforehand, right? Like it's sort of the difference. I encounter this a lot when thinking about like planning like tabletop RPG sessions, right? There's always the balance between like kind of going by the seat of your pants, which lets you play a lot, but versus like doing extensive prep for each session, which lets you kind of maybe be more polished, have more kind of stuff, I guess, be a little better put together than just like rolling on random tables. I think it's the same way for this kind of content probably, and I feel the same with my programming streams, right? Like I can sometimes just go on the seat of my pants and just be like, oh, we're gonna do whatever today. But when I prepare a little more, I think but of course preparing a little more costs time that I'm not streaming. So it's an interesting balance, I think, for sure. Yeah, you can do an extensive prep for a stream, but then you're just explaining something you already know a lot about. Yeah, you don't really have the experience of learning new things, right? It's kind of inorganic in a sense, inauthentic. For sure. All right, onward. Cuchulain's fight with the sea. A man came slowly from the setting sun to Emmer, rattling raiment in her dun, and said, I am that swineherd whom you bid. Go watch the road between the wood and tide. But now I have no need to watch it more. Then Emer cast the web upon the floor, and raising arms all rattled with the dye, parted her lips with a loud sudden cry. That swineherd stared upon her face and said, No man alive, no man among the dead, has won the gold his cars of battle bring. But if your master comes home triumphing, why must you blench and shake from foot to crown? Thereon he shook the Moor and cast him down upon the web-heaped floor and cried his word. With him is one sweet-throated like a bird. You dare me to my face, and thereupon she smote with rattled fist, and where her son herded the cattle came with stumbling feet, and cried with angry voice, It is not meet to idle life away a common herd. I have long waited, mother, for that word. But wherefore now? There is a man to die, you have the heaviest arm under the sky. Whether under its daylight or its stars, my father stands amid his battle cars, but you have grown to be the taller man. Yet somewhere under starlight or the sun, my father stands, aged, worn out with wars, on foot or horseback or in battle cars. I only ask what way my journey lies, for he who made you bitter made you wise. The Red Branch camp in a great company, between Wood's Rim and the horses of the sea. Go there and light a campfire at Wood's Rim, but tell your name and lineage to him whose blade compels, and wait until they have found some feasting man that the same oath is bound. Among those feasting men Cuchulain dwelt, and his young sweetheart close beside him knelt, stared on the mournful wonder of his eyes, even as spring upon the ancient skies, and pondered on the glory of his days, and all around the harp string told his praise, and Conchubar, the Red Branch king of kings, with his own fingers touched the brazen strings. At last Cuchulain spake, Some man has made his evening fire amid the leafy shade. I have often heard him singing to and fro, I have often heard the sweet sound of his bow. Seek out what man he is. One went and came, he bade me let all know he gives his name at the sword point, and waits till we have found some feasting man that the same oath is bound. Cuchulain cried, I am the only man of all this host so bound from childhood on. After short fighting in the leafy shade, he spake to the young man, Is there no maid who loves you, no white arms to wrap you round, or do you long for the dim sleepy ground, that you have come and dared me to my face? The dooms of men are in God's hidden place. Your head a while seemed like a woman's head that I loved once. Again the fighting sped, but now the war rage in Cuchulain woke, and through that new blade's guard the old blade broke, and pierced him. Speak before your breath is done, Cuchulain I, mighty Cuchulain's son. I put you from your pain, I can no more. While day its burden on to evening bore, with head bowed on his knees Cuchulain stayed. Then Conchubar sent that sweet-throated maid, and she to win him his grey hair caressed, in vain her arms, in vain her soft white breast. Then Conchubar, the subtlest of all men, ranking his druids round him 10 by 10, spake thus, Cuchulain will dwell there and brood for 3 days more in dreadful quietude, and then arise and raving slay us all, chaunt in his ear delusions magical, that he may fight the horses of the sea. The druids took them to their mystery, and chaunted for 3 days. Cuchulain stared on the horses of the sea, and cried, and heard the cars of battle in his own name cried, and fought with the invulnerable tide. Wow. These are very, I don't know, moving. I don't think I think I get probably roughly like 60% of the cultural references, and there's a lot that I'm not picking up, but they're very exciting. Full dramatic reading of SICP then. SICP when I have thought about it would be very fun to I have gone through SICP and done all the exercises, but it was a very long time ago at this point. It was probably more than 10 years ago. So it'd be very fun to like work through that, but I think it would take at least a year on stream, and I would have to be streaming more often in order to get through it all. Could be fun though. I think my worry is it's not very like exciting, right? In the sense that like sure we could do it, but like I think it's more niche than like things I'm focusing on more lately, which are like, I don't know, stream integration, game integration kind of things. I want to build cool stuff versus kind of studying the theory so much. But we'll keep it in mind. Yeah, it's way too many pages. Yeah, it's very long, right? And I don't know. I think it certainly has appealed to a certain clientele, but like I don't know. Who knows, really? Let's continue. These are all kind of rows named in this section. Who dreamed that beauty passes like a dream? For these red lips with all their mournful pride, mournful that no new wonder may betide, Troy passed away in one high funeral gleam, and Usna's children died. We in the laboring world are passing by, amid men's souls that waver and give place, like the pale winters in their wintry race. Under the passing stars, foam of the sky, lives on this lonely face. Bow down, archangels, in your dim abode, before you were or any hearts to beat. Weary and kind one lingered by his seat. He made the world to be a grassy road, before her wandering feet. Have you seen that guy's comment from a while ago that was like, I have been 0 viewers for so long, I don't think my stream content would work if there were actual viewers. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't really actually read very much about, to be totally honest, about streaming or other channels or anything. I just kind of like, I watch a whole lot of people at this point, and I search for recommendations, but I honestly I'm just mostly committed at this point to just doing I don't know, whatever. I think it's so hard to find any like legitimate advice. I think probably a good life lesson in general is in all categories, programming, VTubing, whatever, is just don't take advice from strangers on the internet. Just like take advice from like your friends and family, but like why would you just do what like strangers online tell you to do? It's just very like very odd. But that, I agree with NZ Pieface, that is very funny. Very amusing. Alright. We continue on. The Rose of Peace. If Michael, leader of God's host, when heaven and hell are met, look down on you from heaven's doorpost, he would his deeds forget. Excuse me. Brooding no more upon God's wars, in his divine homestead, he would go weave out of the stars a chaplet for your head, and all folk seeing him bow down and white stars tell your praise, would come at last to God's great town, led on by gentle ways, and God would bid his warfare cease, saying all things were well, and softly make a rosy peace, a peace of heaven with hell. Fun. I like sort of the, I don't know, I feel like kind of the interplay between like, my understanding, I'm not a student of history, but my understanding is that Ireland has been kind of Christianized for a very, very, very long time, right? And I see, especially in a lot of like Irish authors from like around this period, right? Like this is kind of early 1900s, late 1800s, right? There's kind of that. Lord Dunsany has a lot of this too, right? Like what do you say? The interplay between Christianity and kind of the pre-Christian elements is like very, very present in a lot of these works. So Albionis says, a lot of people tell me to ignore random online critique, but I think it's worth paying attention to. You just have to filter it for what it's worth. Yeah, I agree, right? I think the critique is like, I think a common theme with things is it's worth taking into account people's criticism. It's not worth following their suggestions verbatim, right? If people make suggestions, that suggestion is motivated by some criticism, and it's worth drawing out what kind of the underlying thing behind the suggestion is. But like exactly just like, oh, this person said I should do X, I will do X, is like rarely the right thing. Listen to your friends, right? Like like, and have your friends help you interpret criticism and interpret what you can do better. But you should just be focused on that versus any kind of particular, like, I don't know, little faux pas. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, that's indicating to you that you need a better you need to improve your audio setup. It's not indicating that you need to do whatever the latest BuzzFeed microphone trick is. So very good, very good. Next up, the Rose of Battle. Rose of all roses, rose of all the world, the tall thought-woven sails that flap unfurled, above the tide of hours trouble the air, and God's bell buoyed to be the water's care. While hushed from fear or loud with hope, a band with blown, spray-dabbled hair gather at hand. Turn if you may from battles never done, I call, as they go by me one by one. Danger no refuge holds, and war no peace, for him who hears love sing and never cease. Beside her clean-swept hearth, her quiet shade, but gather all for whom no love hath made. A woven silence, or but come to cast a song into the air, and singing past, to smile on the pale dawn and gather you, who have sought more than is in rain or dew, or in the sun and moon, or on the earth, or sighs amid the wandering starry mirth, or comes in laughter from the sea's sad lips, and wage God's battles in the long grey ships. The sad, the lonely, the insatiable, to these old night shall all her mystery tell. God's bell has claimed them by the little cry of their sad hearts that may not live nor die. Rose of all roses, rose of all the world, you too have come where the dim tides are hurled. Upon the wharves of sorrow and heard ring the bell that calls us on, the sweet far thing. Beauty grown sad with its eternity made you of us and of the dim grey sea. Our long ships loose thought-woven sails and wait, for God has bid them share an equal fate. And when at last defeated in his wars, they have gone down under the same white stars, we shall no longer hear the little cry of our sad hearts that may not live nor die. Wow. We have a big focus on, I don't know, this kind of theme here for quite a few in a row now. Okay, the next one. A fairy song. We are old, old and gay, oh so old, thousands of years, if all were told. Give to these children new from the world, silence and love, and the long dew-dropping hours of the night, and the stars above. Give to these children new from the world, rest far from men. Is anything better, tell us it then. Us who are old, old and gay, oh so old, thousands of years, if all were told. Next. The Lake Isle of Innisfree. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there, of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day. I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, and I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray. I hear it in the deep heart's core. Next up, we have quite a few short ones here. I don't know how to code, but I've heard there's a poetic nature to coding, where you want the code to be elegant, not just for the sake of being clear and efficient, because it's poetic to do so. Well, yeah, I think we could talk at length about that, right? Like, I don't know. I definitely think of programming as more. It's certainly not engineering, and it's definitely more of an art than a science. I think, at least in its current manifestation. And that's like, I mean, I do it for the joy of it. I think, like I would do it if it made no money and I was like, I don't know, sweeping floors for a living, right? Like it's very much that sort of thing for me, where it's yeah, and I can definitely envision, like, there are similarities with poetry versus prose in the sense that, like, there's a lot of kind of structural focus, right, in programming, right? Like kind of the meter of the thing is relevant in some cases. Interesting to think about. A cradle song. The angels are stooping above your bed. They weary of trooping with the whimpering dead. God's laughing in heaven to see you so good. The sailing 7 are gay with his mood. I sigh that kiss you, for I must own that I shall miss you when you have grown. The pity of love. A pity beyond all telling is hid in the heart of love. The folk who are buying and selling, the clouds on their journey above. The cold wet winds ever blowing, and the shadowy hazel grove, where mouse-gray waters are flowing, threaten the head that I love. We have an alarm going off, Jesus. Telling me that it's 5 p.m. Personally, I enjoy coding a lot, but I also think of it as assembling a mechanical contraption rather than art. Yeah, I mean, I think there's just a whole lot of ways to think about it, right? Like how you conceptualize the thing, right? Like it's I'm in the opposite camp. I want to get into coding because it's like a big thing in the culture, but I have no passion for it, so I can't get myself to learn it properly. Yeah, I mean, that's the tricky bit, right? I think we were discussing this on stream recently, right? Like I think there's a lot of people who are programming simply for, like, I mean, because you make a lot of money, right, or something like this, or because it's like useful, and like that's certainly fine, but like it's just I don't know, not how I look at it, at least. I like doing it. I mean, of course, like my original motivations were kind of like, I don't know, I wanted to make video games or whatever. That's that is what it is. But I just like, there's something like deeply meditative about it. Maybe it's because I do a lot of low-level close-to-machine code. Yeah, I mean, that can... to be honest, I also spend most of my time looking at assembly these days. But like, I also do a lot of high-level stuff, right? It's kind of a nice mix. I really code things with a lot of abstraction. Yeah, I can see that being it. Like, abstraction is sort of the thing that makes it feel kind of, I don't know, artsy. Picking the right abstraction. The arguments to make are for 99% of history, man was farmer, then everyone was a factory worker, then a copywriter. They probably didn't have much passion for those things, but also maybe it's not fun at the beginning, but becomes fun once you have proficiency. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't have much ability to assess, right? Because like I've just been doing it for so long, and like it's been my whole life basically programming computers. Like to, I don't know, probably realistically probably almost half of my waking hours since I was, I don't know, 10 have been spent on it. So like I don't have like the but like, for me, I can definitely say it was always fun, and I enjoy it. Like, a lot of it is like you'll never have proficiency, in a sense, right? Like it's sort of so much of it is like getting the capacity to learn new things in like a very structured way. And yeah, that's something. Right, like I don't know, like I'm still like a lot of the things I work with often, like I'm not like proficient in, but it's like getting like the broad skill set is something. I don't know, we will see. Onward. This is a fun conversation. Thank you guys for going around and chatting. It's this would be very awkward if I was just reading poetry for an hour with nobody to talk to, so Thanks for coming by. The sorrow of love. The brawling of a sparrow in the eaves, the brilliant moon and all the milky sky, and all that famous harmony of leaves, had blotted out man's image and his cry. A girl arose that had red mournful lips, and seemed the greatness of the world in tears, doomed like Odysseus and the laboring ships, and proud as Priam murdered with his peers. Arose, and on the instant clamorous eaves, a climbing moon upon an empty sky, and all that lamentation of the leaves could but compose man's image and his cry. We have some classical references there for you, son Albionus. Very nice indeed. Indubitably. When you are old and gray and full of sleep, and nodding by the fire, take down this book, and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes once had, and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love false or true? But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face, and bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled, and paced upon the mountains overhead, and hid his face amid a crowd of stars. Odysseus Husbando. Is he Husbando? What's my classical, like, I don't even know. I just don't have enough, I don't have enough, literary maturity to get there. Like, I mean, of course I can talk about, like, yeah, just, we gotta read more. Everybody has to read more. That's, we need to get rid of this computer nonsense and start reading a whole lot more. That's what I think, at least. The white birds. I would that we were, my beloved, white birds on the foam of the sea. We tire of the flame of the meteor before it can fade and flee, and the flame of the blue star of twilight, hung low on the rim of the sky, has awaked in our hearts, my beloved, a sadness that may not die. A weariness comes from those dreamers, dew-dabbled the lily and rose. Ah, dream not of them, my beloved, the flame of the meteor that goes, or the flame of the blue star that lingers hung low in the fall of the dew. For I would we were changed to white birds on the wandering foam, I and you. I am haunted by numberless islands and many a Danaan shore, where time would soon forget us, and sorrow come near us no more. Soon far from the rose and the lily, and the fret of the flames would we be, were we only white birds, my beloved, buoyed out on the foam of the sea. JK, actually Odysseus is too serious, Achilles is the best boy. I mean, I'll believe it. I'll believe it, for sure. A dream of death. I dreamed that one had died in a strange place, near no accustomed hand, and they had nailed the boards above her face, the peasants of that land. Wondering to lay her in that solitude, and raised above her mound, her cross they made out of 2 bits of wood, and planted cypress round, and left her to the indifferent stars above, until I carved these words, she was more beautiful than thy first love, but now lies under boards. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, indeed. I'm having a lot of fun. This is a kind of decided to do this on a whim, and quite enjoyable. The birds are chirping, the winds are blowing pleasantly in the gardens, and we're enjoying some very pleasant poetry. This is good. Sip sip sip. The Countess Kathleen in Paradise. All the heavy days are over, leave the body's colored pride, underneath the grass and clover, with the feet laid side by side. Bathed in flaming founts of duty, shall not ask a haughty dress, carry all that mournful beauty to the scented oaken press. Did the kiss of Mother Mary put that music in her face? Yet she goes with footstep wary, full of earth's old timid grace. Among the feet of angels 7, what a dancer glimmering, all the heavens bow down to heaven, flame to flame and wing to wing. I imagine doing a lot of this sort of reading would be really good for learning to enunciate and pronounce things easily. Yeah, I could see that for sure. Right, really just like any kind of setting where you're I don't know, encouraged to practice something very intentionally is I imagine it being pretty good. For sure. For sure. All right. We continue. I think I'll probably finish. How much longer do I have in this chapter? Maybe we'll finish this chapter. On that note, I must present you with the word. What is this? What is this you talking about? We'll read while you sort it out. The word that I couldn't pronounce for like 10 minutes until I realized it was easy and I was dumb. Epiphenomenalism. Is that it? I think I've actually seen that word. In long the old philosophy Wikipedia sessions. 3 out of 6. 3 for 6. Oh, have you been presenting that to people? Ah, I see. Yeah, that's what I guess. Funny. Who goes with Fergus? Who will go drive with Fergus now, and pierce the deep wood's woven shade, and dance upon the level shore? Young man, lift up your russet brow, and lift your tender eyelids maid, and brood on hopes and fear no more. And no more turn aside and brood upon love's bitter mystery, where Fergus rules the brazen cars, and rules the shadows of the wood, and the white breast of the dim sea, and all disheveled wandering stars. some page turning ASMR here. The man who dreamed of fairyland. Me. He stood among a crowd at Drumahar, his heart hung all upon a silken dress, and he had known at last some tenderness, before earth took him to her stony care. But when a man poured fish into a pile, it seemed they raised their little silver heads, and sang what gold morning or evening sheds, upon a woven world-forgotten isle, where people love beside the ravelled seas, that time could never mar a lover's vows. Under that woven changeless roof of boughs, the singing shook him out of his new ease. He wandered by the sands of Lissadell, his mind ran all on money cares and fears, and he had known at last some prudent years, before they heaped his grace under the hill. But while he passed before a plashy place, a lugworm with its grey and muddy mouth sang that somewhere to north or west or south there dwelt a gay, exulting, gentle race, under the gold or the silver skies, that if a dancer stayed his hungry foot, it seemed the sun and moon were in the fruit, and at that singing he was no more wise. He mused beside the well of Scanavin, he mused upon his mockers without fail, his sudden vengeance were a country tale. When earthy night had drunk his body in, but one small knot grass growing by the pool sang where, unnecessary cruel voice, old silence bids its chosen race rejoice. Whatever ravelled waters rise and fall, or stormy silver fret the gold of day, at midnight there enfold them like a fleece, and lover there by lover be at peace. The tale drove his fine angry mood away, he slept under the hill of Lugnagal, and might have known at last unhaunted sleep under that cold and vapor turbaned steep. Now that the earth had taken man and all, did not the worms that spired about his bones proclaim with that unwearied reedy cry that God had laid his fingers on the sky, that from those fingers glittering summer runs upon the dancer by the dreamless wave? Why should those lovers that no lovers miss dream until God burn nature with a kiss? The man has found no comfort in the grave. Let's see. All the high IQ streamers have got it. Yeah, I mean, well, this is actually you have to understand. This is a certifiably low IQ stream, right? I have taken every IQ test. My IQ is legally, officially, certifiably 80. That is official lore of the Colonq stream. So we certainly do not have any pretensions of genius around here. Oh, your book is physical. Did you buy it for the streamers or something you had already? Yeah, I just had this next to my I have some bookshelves next to my PC, and it was there, and I kind of was inspired to do this. I've taken tons of IQ tests online, but in every single one of them they've tricked me and asked for money to receive the IQ result, so I have no idea what. Yeah, well, the best thing to do is just say that it's pick a number that is below 100 and just say that, because that will I think very effectively produce the conversational results that you want out of that, in the sense that anyone who's taking it especially seriously is and just insist, right? Just based on how much I struggle with the IQ test, I'm guessing it's around 34. Yeah, just say that, right? And insist, right? I guarantee it will produce the best outcomes. Alrighty. This next one is very eloquently titled, The Dedication to a Book of Stories Selected from the Irish Novelists. There was a green branch hung with many a bell, where her own people ruled this tragic ire, and from its murmuring greenness, calm of fairy, a druid kindness on all hearers fell. It charmed away the merchant from his guile, and turned the farmer's memory from his cattle, and hushed in sleep the roaring ranks of battle, and all grew friendly for a little while. Ah, exiles wandering over lands and seas, and plotting always that some morrow may set a stone upon ancestral sorrow. I also bear a bell branch full of ease. I tore it from green boughs wind torn and tossed, until the sap of summer had grown weary. I tore it from the barren boughs of ire, that country where a man can be so crossed, can be so battered, badgered, and destroyed, that he's a loveless man. Gay bells bring laughter, that shakes a mouldering cobweb from the rafter, and yet the saddest chimes are best enjoyed. Gay bells are sad, they bring you memories of half-forgotten innocent old places. We in our bitterness have left no traces on Munster grass and Connemara skies. Fun. Moving on. The Lamentation of the Old Pensioner. Man, these really run the gamut of themes. I'm enjoying this. I've read just a tiny bit of Yeats, but I've never kind of gone through exhaustively. Like I tend to approach poetry, like I'll buy poetry books, and like typically the way I engage with them is I like will flip to a random page and read one poem, right? Like when I'm feeling it. Which I like. That's sort of a fun way to do it. But yeah. I've only recently gotten to physical books. I used to swear by PDFs, but after I had my hard drive die without backups, I've started buying physical copies of everything. Yes, yeah. I mean, I'm sort of in a balance, right? I read mostly ebooks from like LibGen on my phone these days. I have a lot of physical books. I like physical especially textbooks. I have tons and tons and tons of like computer science and math textbooks, and like those are I since I tend to reference those while I'm working or streaming or whatever, nominally, or working on side projects, I tend to want those physical so I can like have them open to my desk. But since doing so, I found it's actually really enjoyable to hold a physical book, but it does depend on the book. Yeah, I'm enjoying this because this book is a very small form factor, so I can hold it open easily with one hand. So that's nice. Some of my books are big, heavy, complete works with hardbacks, and they're not fun to hold at all. Yeah, you have to keep those, like, those you can't really do in like bed. You have to like keep those on a desk or something and read them. I like ebooks because of convenience and pirating, but I love it when I can actually hold the books I read. Yep, I'm in the exact same spot, I think, NC Pie Face. It is so convenient, right? And I do like very much that I can just go to LibGen or whatever and just like get an EPUB of whatever I want to read right now and read it. Yeah. And some books are really old with really acidic paper or something, and I can feel my hands burning with each page. I haven't encountered that, but that's my moderator is nodding next to me that this is they have had this experience as well. All right. The Lamentation of the Old Pensioner. Although I shelter from the rain under a broken tree, my chair was nearest to the fire in every company that talked of love or politics, ere time transfigured me. Though lads are making pikes again for some conspiracy, and crazy rascals rage their fill at human tyranny, my contemplations are of time that has transfigured me. There's not a woman turns her face upon a broken tree, and yet the beauties that I loved are in my memory. I spit into the face of time that has transfigured me. I've got a copy of Pope's Iliad that I hope to read at some point, but it's like a book printed in the 1700s and it's not in the best condition, so I don't know about that. That's very cool though. I've thought a lot about like I really want to. Well, I have like tons and tons of books, like physical books, but they're just like everywhere right now. I want to like build a nice library when I eventually like buy a house and move. And I've thought a lot about getting into like collecting old books, like I don't know, old Bibles and stuff like this. Do you have a bookshelf? I have a couple of bookshelves, and also like they're just everywhere, like just piles everywhere. Probably like I don't know, close to 90% of the surface area in my apartment is occupied by stacks of books and plants. That is the that takes up all the space pretty much. And then I have a little bit of space on my desk for computer stuff. All right, continuing on. I have a few old Bibles. They're very fun. Yeah, I can imagine, right? That's exciting stuff, right? Like really getting back into like the real old stuff in the history of printing. Get like little latches on them and stuff. Yeah, it's awesome. Like the buckles on the fun. The Ballad of Father Gilligan. I think we've had two ballads about priests at this point. What was the previous one? Let's scroll back a little bit. Scroll back, I say, as I flip through. The Ballad of Father O'Hart we had earlier. Now we have the Ballad of Father Gilligan. The old priest Peter Gilligan was weary night and day, for half his flock were in their beds or under green sods lay. Once while he nodded on a chair at the moth hour of eve, another poor man sent for him, and he began to grieve. I have no rest, nor joy, nor peace, for people die and die. And after cried he, God forgive, my body spake, not I. He knelt, and leaning on the chair, he prayed and fell asleep, and the moth hour went from the fields, and stars began to peep. They slowly into millions grew, and leaves shook in the wind, and God covered the word with shade, and whispered to mankind. Upon the time of sparrow chirp, when the moths came once more, the old priest Peter Gilligan stood upright on the floor. Mavrone, Mavrone, the man has died while I slept on the chair. He roused his horse out of its sleep and rode with little care. He rode now as he never rode, by rocky lane and fen. The sick man's wife opened the door. Father, you come again. And is the poor man dead? He cried. He died an hour ago. The old priest Peter Gilligan in grief swayed to and fro. When you were gone, he turned and died as merry as a bird. The old priest Peter Gilligan, he'd knelt him at that word. He who hath made the night of stars for souls who tire and bleed, sent one of his great angels down to help me in my need. He who is wrapped in purple robes with planets in his care, had pity on the least of things, asleep upon a chair. Very nice. Very nice. My local used bookstore came across a super old copy of Gibbon's Decline and Fall in like 14 volumes leather. That is the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, right? That's in like 14 volumes leather bound in great condition. No idea what he's gonna sell that for. Yeah, some of that stuff gets pricey. I've also thought about I had a time in my life where I enjoyed reading encyclopedias a lot. I want to get like a very nice, like, I don't know enough to speak confidently about it, but like there's like a series of like, I think there were like there was like a substantial revision to the Encyclopedia Britannica. I think after like the 1914 edition, maybe they've like significantly like cut down the length of some of the articles, right, and like made them like they're a lot less interesting to read in the sense that they're like more of like a neutral, like Wikipedia-ish tone versus like something a little like more fun. And I want to find like a complete set of an old like leather bound edition and like get that. That's tends to be pricey. Although TBH, I don't know if large numbers of small volumes still better than small numbers of large volumes. Yeah, so much of that is, I don't know. I imagine the market is like niche enough that like the convenience angle isn't a huge deal, but like, yeah, I don't know anything about the pricing or liquidity of antique books, alas. Well then. Continuing. The two trees. Beloved, gaze in thine own heart. The holy tree is growing there. From joy the holy branches start, and all the trembling flowers they bear. The changing colors of its fruit have dowered the stars with merry light. The surety of its hidden root has planted quiet in the night. The shaking of its leafy head has given the waves their melody, and made my lips and music wed, murmuring a wizard song for thee. There the loves a circle go, the flaming circle of our days, gyring, spiring to and fro in those great ignorant leafy ways. Remembering all that shaken hair, and how the winged sandals dart, thine eyes grow full of tender care. Beloved, gaze in thine own heart. Gaze no more in the bitter glass, the demons with their subtle guile lift up before us when they pass, or only gaze a little while. For there a fatal image grows, that the stormy night receives, roots half hidden under snows, broken boughs and blackened leaves. For all things turn to barrenness in the dim glass the demons hold, the glass of outer weariness made when God slept in times of old. There through the broken branches go the ravens of unresting thought, flying, crying to and fro, cruel claw and hungry throat. Or else they stand and sniff the wind and shake their ragged wings. Alas, thy tender eyes grow all unkind, gaze no more in the bitter glass. I don't know anything about bookselling either, lol. It's a whole world of its own with its own good culture. Yeah, the little I've looked into it like, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool sometimes to like get into stuff like that though, right? To dive in a little bit. I've thought quite a lot about that. That is something that seems a little exciting to me. Yeah. What was the line from the last one I wanted to? Yeah, I want to murmur a wizard song for thee. Let's add that to the message of the day. Let's where are we? A wizard song for thee. Very good. It's also the kind of thing that I'm very hesitant to dip my dopamine toes into, because I know it can get very expensive and take up a lot of room in one's house. Yes. Yeah, I have lots of space concerns. I'm in a very tiny apartment, and well, maybe trying to move sometime soon, but space is at a premium, and I don't know if I have space for like antique Bibles on top of it all. Okay. To some I have talked with by the fire, while I wrought out these fitful Danon rhymes, my heart would brim with dreams about the times when we bent down above the fading coals and talked of the dark folk who live in souls, of passionate men like bats in the dead trees, and of the wayward twilight companies who sigh with mingled sorrow and content because their blossoming dreams have never bent under the fruit of evil and of good, and of the embattled flaming multitude, who rise wing above wing, flame above flame, and like a storm cry the ineffable name, and with the clashing of their sword blades make a rapturous music till the morning break, and the white hush end all but the loud beat of their long wings, the flash of their white feet. Like, you'll start having multiple copies of books, one for reading, one for the shelf, one kept in plastic, one that's by a different publisher, one that's signed, one for lending, etc. You'll start buying books that you don't even intend to read, but you have to buy just so you can have every book by that one author. Yeah, scary stuff. Collecting, you know. I think I would like to, I don't know. That's probably the main thing keeping me off it. I don't like the I don't know, effect and aesthetics of collecting things very much. Yeah, books are literally Funko Pops. Yeah, it's exactly right. Having a well kept library, to me, bro, that looks like you have a wall made of Funko Pop cases of fully boxed, sealed, minty fresh Funko Pops. But we're not quite there yet. We'll stick with our little book of poetry that is not at all a fancy edition. I think this is from the Wordsworth Poetry Library. It's probably $8 on Amazon, and that's all you need to get some beauty from the world. To Ireland in the coming times, know that I would accounted be true brother of a company that sang to sweeten Ireland's wrong, ballad and story ran in song, nor be I any less of them, because the red rose bordered hem of her whose history began before God made the angelic clan, trails all about the written page, when time began to rant and rage. The measure of her flying feet made Ireland's heart begin to beat, and time bade all his candles flare to light a measure here and there, and may the thoughts of Ireland brood upon a measured quietude. Nor may I less be counted one with Davis, Mongan, Ferguson, because to him who ponders well, my rhymes more than their rhyming tell, of things discovered in the deep, where only bodies laid asleep, for the elemental creatures go about my table to and fro, that hurry from unmeasured mind to rant and rage and flood and wind. Yet he who treads in measured ways may surely barter gaze for gaze. Man ever journeys on with them after the red rose bordered hem. Ah, fairies dancing under the moon, a druid land, a druid tune. While still I write for you the love I lived, the dream I knew. From our birthday until we die is but the winking of an eye. And we, our singing and our love, what measure of time has lit above, and all benighted things that go about my table to and fro, are passing on to where may be, in truth's consuming ecstasy, no place for love and dream at all, for God goes by with white footfall. I cast my heart into my rhymes, that you in the dim coming times may know how my heart went with them after the red rose bordered hem. Very autobiographical, I think. Interesting. In the past, well-off aristocrats would have their own custom-bound books, like their whole library all identical. Yeah, I've actually, well, I mean, speaking of silly hobbies, I have gotten a little bit. I have dipped my toes, no more than dipping my toes though, into bookbinding. I have rebound a couple of things where there were only I could only find shitty softcover editions into like, I don't know, nicer leather bound hardcover. It's interesting stuff. It's kind of an exciting little arts and crafts project if you're ever up for something. It's not too tricky either. I've got a few books that have come from collections of that origin. Cool. Any standouts? Anything in particular? That seems like that's very, very interesting. It would be fun to own something like that, at least, I think. All right. Do we continue? I think bookbinding looks appealing. I think that's the end of that chapter, or that collection. How long is the next one? I don't think I have much room for it. Yeah, I mean that's the tricky bit, of course. Finding the Comes under leatherworking, I think. Yeah, if you want to do really fancy stuff, for sure. You probably get away with doing like some cloth binding without doing too much there. I think maybe we'll call it for now. I think this was fun. I wanted to go for a little while, and yeah, remember this is the stream now. No more computers. But I jest. We'll be back to the usual computer business maybe later tonight. So we'll get up to some shenanigans then. But thank you so much for coming by. Could we want to raid somebody? We have somebody to raid around here. What's going on? Similar thing I want to try is shoemaking, but it's just there's a lot of stuff involved. Yeah, I mean I can imagine that's tricky stuff. I was looking a little while ago. There was someone I found like running like a boutique shoemaking business for like kind of bespoke custom shoes, and it seems very interesting. Like all that stuff, craftsmanship, interesting stuff. Is there anybody that we want to? I don't think I'm not seeing any. Yohei Fukuda is the guy on YouTube, I think. Wait, hold on. I will hold on. Okay. Yeah. Feel free to link. Linkaroni. Okay, cool. I will check that out. Sure. Thank you. I don't think there's any particular friends around to raid, so I think we'll call it. So yeah, thanks so much for coming around and listening to my murmuring of a wizard song for thee. This was a whole lot of fun, and hey, thanks, Gunpei. This was I don't know, did something a little different. Have you watched Puppet streamer? I don't think so. Please if you wanna link stuff, drop by the Discord. Let's do the Discord thing. We're not using it as much of a traditional Discord. It's more of just an IRC kind of thing. Like we're not gonna become dependent on it, and we'll be ready to switch away at a moment's notice. But VTuber with Puppet, that sounds very exciting. We will investigate this. Maybe we'll do a stream where we find like other like. I mean, I feel like I sort of fall into the category of VTubers with non-conventional presentation, right? And I know there are definitely others, right? Like there's probably some stop motion people out there, Puppet, like you say. Well, and we can maybe check that out. Avant-garde, yes, exactly. Some might say artistic. Some might say some other word that kind of rhymes with that, but we won't say because it's kind of rude. Cool. Well, that's all for now, and thanks. Hope everybody manages to dodge any tricks, any other tricks today, and enjoy. See you later. Bye now. Bye, friends. Goodbye. Blah, 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 blah. Already mumbling again. Fun April stream, lol. Yes. I hope it was fun. Well, bye for now.